The American people want to see change. They know that the Republican and the Democratic parties acting together, and sometimes it looks like they're doing nothing but butting heads, but really look at what they've brought this country. We understand as a people that we're doing much worse, almost all of us, because of the corruption in our Congress. Why did we see deregulation of the financial institutions that helped lead to the economic upheaval in this country from which we're all still suffering? We saw that deregulation because the short-term interest of these financial institutions was promoted. And that's who these people in Congress were listening to. They weren't worried about our interests. We vote these people into office, and then what do? They go and act as if they're on retainer with the largest firms, the wealthiest in this country. All of it to the detriment of we the people. So it's being recognized. The Occupy movement is a huge part of this consciousness raising, but I think there's been the sense growing among everybody in this country that things simply aren't right, that we don't have a level democracy, that we don't have the American dream opportunities. And look at the catastrophic problems we'll be handing off to later generations because we didn't find the political will and the integrity to move forward. Now is the time for all Americans to come together, recognizing their common interest, and to demand substantial change across our government. We know the Democrats and Republicans, whoever's in power, they're not going to provide the leadership. They know where their bread's been buttered all these years, and they've acted accordingly. We need people who will fight for the public interest, fight to get corruption out of government. We need people in power at all levels of government that are going to start looking out for the public interest. I'm running for president because I know I've got the experience, I know I've got the heart, the energy, the passion to change things dramatically in this country. Ever since I was in college, I wanted to do whatever I could to help change things, to build a better world, to provide opportunities for people who don't have them. Graduated in philosophy, started graduate school, went to law school. I practiced law for 21 years. And most of my practice was about the representation of people who had suffered as a result of the abuse of power by others. I brought a lot of civil rights cases in my time, and it wasn't always lucrative. It wasn't primarily about the money for me. It was about breathing life into our Constitution, making sure that the guarantees in our Constitution and in the common law to protect people against abuses of power meant more than the paper that they were written on. And during the time I was mayor, I approached it the same way, trying to find every way possible that we could bring about changes to protect people against abuses of power, making government absolutely as transparent as possible, making sure that government was serving the people, and standing up against abuses like the illegal aggressive war against Iraq, standing up against the human rights abuses, standing up against the illegal torture, standing up for the rule of law. And so after I left the mayor's office after 8 years, I founded High Road for Human Rights with the idea that we would elevate awareness that people have about human rights abuses and the solutions to those abuses, that we would organize people together and provide them the tools to take action to push our elected officials and others to do what is right. Because we know that almost all social progress, the anti-slavery movement, the women's suffrage movement, the civil rights movement, the labor movement, all those were started and carried out by ordinary people at the grassroots. And by the way, almost all those movements overcame the power of money because people had the passion, they organized, and they stuck with it. And now we've got to lead the justice movement. Every one of us need to fight and do everything we can at all levels, including in the electoral system, for economic justice, for social justice, and environmental justice.